to my channel, Crafty with Nordy. In today's video, I will be going over an update on the book cloth binder that we made a few videos back. If you saw that video, I showed you how to use your fabric stash and to create some book cloth. Now, it was a book cloth that I've seen a few people make, and I wanted to test it out, to see if it was going to be something that was, legit. Was it really going to work good? And it looked really, really nice, right? We used this fusible shear weight interfacing, and it added that weight to the fabric, right? But there was no paper to go on the back of it for the glue. And so when we glued our chipboard to the fabric with the interfacing on the back, I realized, and this hasn't really been handled a lot, it's just kind of been moved around in the craft room because I wanted to see, is it really going to work? Is it going to last? So it's been gently handled. But I noticed some rippling or bubbling right here. And after doing a little bit of research, I was like, well, why is it doing that? Is that because the interfacing didn't attach to the fabric very well? And that's what I originally thought it was, but it wasn't. It's actually the glue, the PVA glue, and this interfacing are not compatible as far as binding goes. So they'll sit on top of each other, and they look like they're stuck together, right? They're just temporarily together. They're not strongly bonded. So over time, it'll just separate. So they just basically just kind of sit on top of each other. And so they never really bond. And so I noticed this little rippling and stuff like that. And so I'm like, okay, so it's from the glue and the interfacing. They're just not compatible. And so there was no paper put in here either. There was just the interfacing. And so we need the paper backing on here. And so we're going to do a different method today that is being used by a lot of people, and it works. And it does feel different. It's definitely lighter weight with the interfacing, but like I said, over time, that's just not going to stick. I don't know if you guys can see that little bit of rippling in there. Excuse my really dry hands. But yeah, so eventually over time, that will come away. And so what we're going to do, instead of using the Part-1, we are going to use heat and bond. And this heat and bond is iron-on adhesive. Okay, so it's not heat and bond interfacing, okay? The Part-1 that we used before, that was an interfacing. We're not using that. Okay, we are using heat and bond iron-on adhesive. Okay, now if you get a small pack, you're gonna get a paper just a little bit bigger, it's going to be about, these are one of those like stacks you get from Walmart of fabric, and you get like a little bundle of 5, and they're folded in a little teeny little rectangle, and it's really cute. So this is about the size of that, because I haven't cut this down really at all. And so it's that much plus this is how much you get in those little packets of the heat and bond. So if you're going to be making a lot more book cloth, I would suggest getting the roll. Okay, so with your fabric, you're going to iron it all out. Get all your wrinkles out, okay? And then you're going to get that interfacing, that iron-on adhesive. And one side is paper, and one side is the adhesive. As you can see, there's a lot of texture on there, but you can see it's the glue, it's shiny. So glue side's going to go down on the opposite side of your paper. So your good side's going to face down, the opposite side's going to be facing up. You're going to get that iron-on adhesive side down onto your fabric, and you can measure everything out ahead of time, have it all sized out and cut to size, like the proper sizes for everything that you need. And we're going to iron over this, and this paper is going to start to become more transparent as we're ironing it on, because you're going to see that, the glue adhering. And then once you get it all done everywhere, you go on it and let it completely dry, like completely cool, and then peel off your backing. Okay, so you're going to peel this paper back off. If you're going to be left with the adhesive on here, you're going to put your Ryu paper down over that adhesive, and you're going to iron that down. Okay, and you can see now, you can see all the little fibers in there. And so you can see how it looks. You could start seeing the fabric through the paper, right? So you'll be able to tell that you're adhered. Okay, so now you got this paper backing, and glue sticks to paper. Okay, so this is why we need a paper backing. Plus, we don't want all that glue coming through. Now, it's not completely foolproof for the glue not to come through. So don't use an excessive amount of glue, just use what you need, okay? Because you don't want to put excessive amount of glue, saturate this so badly that you create some kind of a tear and it gets through that little tear and then the glue seeps out. You don't want to be doing anything like that. So don't be crazy with the glue. So you can see it's still real flexible. So it's going to be, it'll be really good to work with. And you need paper backing for that glue because the glue adheres to paper really well and not to that Pellon. And so we want to have a good bond with the paper on the back of here and our chipboard. Okay, because we don't want no bubbling, no moving, no shifting or anything like that. And I have real book cloth here that I purchased from Hollanders. If you haven't purchased from Hollanders, I recommend you go check them out. I'll leave a link in my description below. They have a lot of really good quality stuff for bookbinding and whatnot. So this fabric is very, very thin. Very thin. I mean, you can see my hand through it, okay? And it's lined with the paper, really thin paper on the back, so it's laminated to that. And so this is really pretty book cloth that I got from them. And so it's very lightweight, it's very flexible. And this is just a little bit heavier weight, you know, doesn't flow as much, but that's because I'm using the Heat and Bond Ultra. And that's probably why it's just a little bit more stiffer. You can use the Heat and Bond Light as well. Okay, so I got this one. This is the one I'm going to use and give it a try. If I don't like how stiff it is, I'll try out the light one. But if you want to start with the light one, because you can see, you know, how stiff this is compared to this right here. You can see like there's a stiffness, okay? If you don't want it that stiff, definitely try the Heat and Bond Light, okay? And so after you do all that, you're gonna trim your edges and everything, make sure everything's final cut, okay? So I would give yourself about an inch all the way around, more than what you need. So then when you're done ironing everything on and everything's cool, you can go down and cut everything to size, and you've got a little bit of play there. I would leave yourself half an inch or more for your border to go over the edges of your chipboard, okay, to fold over. But I think an inch is pretty good as well, maybe 3/4 of an inch. But yeah, give yourself some play, okay? And so that's how that's going to turn out. And then now I'll show you step by step how to make the book cloth. Okay, so once you got that all ironed out, you want your good side down, wrong side up, and you're going to get your Heat and Bond. Now you can have everything already pre-cut to the size that you need for your book cover. Now I would give myself an extra inch all the way around from what your final cut's going to be. So give yourself an extra inch of play. Now I haven't cut this down to the size that I need it to because I really wanted to just do the whole sheet, but there's not enough from the small packet that I got to do 2 full sheets of this. So I'm just gonna, for the sake of the video, just do it like this for now. So the Heat and Bond has glue on one side and it's textured and shiny, so you can feel which side the glue is on, and the other side is just paper. Okay, don't worry about the creases all in there. And don't go over your paper or over your fabric like this. You see that right there? Don't do that. Keep it within your fabric as best you can, okay? Because you don't want this getting onto your ironing board, gluing to your ironing board, or getting glue on your iron and things like that, okay? So maybe I'll go this way. Covers up more for me. And I want to make sure I'm staying within. Okay, so we got glue side down to the wrong side of the fabric, okay? Paper side up. Now I got my iron. It's on a high setting. Okay, and we're just melting that glue now so it adheres to our fabric. Pay attention to the edges, make sure that and don't just leave it there on this paper, we're not trying to burn anything. Okay, be gentle with it, but you can see it's starting to become more transparent and you're starting to see the fabric pattern underneath. Now the other one that I did it on this setting already, this high cotton setting, and it was fine. But whatever the instructions say on the package, just follow that. Okay? And be very careful. This paper gets very, very hot. That glue gets really, really hot. Now you don't want to pull this paper away until this has completely cooled, okay? Because you want to make sure that the paper comes away from the adhesive. You don't want it pulling the adhesive with it, so you want it to completely cool, okay? You can see the difference here, how it's not transparent, but then you get to where the iron was melting the glue and you can start to see the fabric come through and become more, the paper is becoming more transparent. So make sure your edges are on there really well. And don't have the steam on this part, okay? Make sure the steam is off so you're not wetting this paper or anything like that. I don't smell a lot of odor from this. It's very light, but I still like to open a window. I don't want those fumes. So I do have 2 windows open in here right now just to keep the air flowing. So this side is still cooling. Let me see if I got it on the edge here. I might need to go a little bit more on this edge. But it's starting to cool now. Don't peel the paper away until it's completely cooled. And like I said, pay attention to those edges. Don't burn yourself. So we're going to let this cool. It does not take long, and especially if you have a window open and the breeze is coming through, it's going to cool this off like super fast. And so I probably should have opened this window right in front of me. But you can see it's more transparent. I could definitely feel the stiffness, so I think that stiffness really comes from the glue. So if you don't want it to be as stiff of a book fabric, I would definitely say go ahead and try the Heat and Bond Light, because there was another video and the girl was saying she likes the Ultra, but she uses the Light and it works just as well. So you can give that one a try if you don't want it to be as stiff. So it's starting to cool. It's almost cooled. You don't want it. Like I said, don't pull it off until it's completely cooled, because you don't want to pull any of your adhesive off. Like when you're peeling off a sticker, that's how you want it to be. You just want it to come away. And so it's almost cool. I'm able to touch it. I'm not burning my hands anymore. And then we'll get our Ryu paper, which I like how they package this too, because they've got like a little seam right here that sticks over, so you don't have to pull it out of this tube wrapping. You can just undo it. and then get the piece that you need, which we're going to need about, not that big. And I'm just going to cut what I think I need for now. Okay, so now this feels very cool to the touch. So I would say it's ready to peel off. So I'm going to take a little end here that's on this little edge, and you can see it's peeling away. So the backing is like the sticker backing almost, you know? You see? So you want that to peel off, just like that, okay? I'm working on this very small cutting board here. And don't worry if a little bit tears, just start pulling from another direction, it's fine. All right. Okay. So we got that taken off. We're just gonna set this aside. And now we're gonna get our papers, but I want to show you what this looks like now. Okay, you can see the glue's on there. I can touch it, it's fine. I mean, I wouldn't recommend touching it with any lotion or anything like that on your hands, but just a light touching. You can see it's on there. It's adhered to the fabric. It does add weight to the fabric. Okay. Okay, so now that's smoothed out. Now you can see a little bit of the creases from where the glue, the paper was folded. I can see that a little bit on there. I shouldn't have that problem with this one since it comes in a roll. But I don't think it's gonna cause any issue. Okay, so now I got the paper, and that's just wide enough for what I need. So remember, make sure you're covering all the glue because you don't want to get this glue onto your iron. So make sure you're checking it all the way around. So let me get this on here. Now you can just overlap a little bit more, even over your fabric a little bit, just to make sure you're going over the glue completely. If you're like me and you're not cutting like the super straight. So I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so now I'm going to go over with my iron, and I'm going to go gentle. I'm not going crazy. I'm not pushing hard. I'm letting it sit right over it. I'm not completely letting go of it, you know, like to where the whole weight of the iron is down. I'm just being gentle. I don't want to rip the paper. It's, you know, it's got a lot of these fibers in it and stuff that, you know, strengthen it, but it's still very thin paper. But I mean, you don't have to be crazy gentle with it. It's not like it's just gonna fall apart or anything like that. You just, you know, you just don't want to rip it. You don't want to put any holes in it or anything like that. And so as you can see, the paper becomes more transparent as the glue heats up again and adheres to the paper. So and you can see that glue is sticking to it, because you can see like all the little, because the glue, it has that little bit of a texture pattern all over it, and you can kind of see that come through the paper. So you can see all those fibers now. Okay, so as you can see, I'm not going to pull this away because I want this to cool. I do got to move it because I'm working on a tiny little ironing board here. And so I don't have the space. I don't know if I can get a bigger ironing board. Or like an ironing mat, I guess, would be good. I don't know if that's going to be good for my desk. Desk can handle it, I guess. So you could see right here, like this is where my adhesive ended. You'll see that line where the glue stops there. So I think that's going to be pretty good. Okay, so of course I'm not going to peel this off, okay? I'm going to let that cool a little bit, and I'm actually going to move the ironing board now because I'm not going to need it anymore. And so now it's sitting here flat on my craft mat here. So then you're going to just, you know, cut this all to the size that you need it. And so I'm just going to start cutting the excess off. That's all done. There are some parts of the paper that are a little bit thicker than others, but that's because it's got fibers and stuff like that in it. So you can see all that distance in there. But, okay, so now it's all flat on here. I've got the piece that I need. Now, this one's been sitting for like a day or two now. And I didn't film this one because I was just, you know, kind of just trying it out, seeing if it was going to be worth it for a video. But as you can see, this is after it's dried, or cooled, I should say. It feels smooth, feels nice. You don't get all these bumps from the fibers, so if you're thinking it's going to be like weird and all that, you don't really got to push in to feel it. Otherwise, it's pretty smooth. Okay. Okay, so the next step that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut our chipboard. Like I said, I'm cutting my chipboard 5 1/4 by, or 5 1/8 by 7 1/4 is what I did for this particular book. And the spine is 1 inch by 7 1/4. But you cut your chipboard down to whatever size book that you're making. So I'm going to continue to let this one cool, and then I'll start cutting the chipboard, so I'll be right back.